that, like, my phone, I gotta get used to this new phone. So yeah, we were basically talking about the plan for Time Heist. Basically, yeah, okay, I think I did explain in the first part.
It's into the scene how they explain the timelines and how this would work, and basically their plan is they go back in time to get the stones, they bring them into this timeline, use it to fix everything, then they put the stones back in their respective timelines so that it doesn't screw up those timelines.
Yeah, and basically, you know, everyone comes back, there's still gonna be 5 years, but that's okay.
Yeah.
So...
Unless you consider they have to have like, some kind of PTSD from all
yeah,
of this.
I know, like... Which I'm sure we're going to see in Far From Home and
yeah,
later
because I'm not buying that Peter doesn't have a little bit of it.
Especially guilt at the fact that Tony died. So...
It's complicated.
It's complicated. And so basically they start doing experiments to try and make this work, but they only have so many Pym particles because Hank's not around. So they only have what Scott has and the van. And so they start experimenting. Basically they want to try and send him like a few minutes into the future or into the past. They try it, and basically because Banner's not, this isn't his field, A turns him into a kid,
B turns him into an old man, C turns him into a baby, and D turns him back into normal.
And he's like, I peed in the suit, and I'm not sure if it was the old man or the young man, or the baby me, or if it was just me. And so basically, you know, it kind of hints that they need to work on it. Meanwhile, Tony...
Being Tony, you know, he's sitting there washing the dishes, and then he looks at a picture of him and Peter.
And so...
He starts fiddling with it.
Yeah, and basically he just wants to see if it's possible, because, like, he just can't help himself.
So, you know, he does a couple things, and that doesn't work, and finally he's like, try this, you know, and he's like, it'll probably take a couple minutes. So he sits back, and then the screen flashes,
in, like,
solved.
an instant, solved. And he's like...
Shit!
Which cuts to a great scene with him and his daughter.
Where she basically is like saying shit right
yeah,
back
so
to
basically
him.
She could bribe him to get an ice pop before bed. You know, being tucked back into bed. And basically after that, Tony tells Pepper he's figured out how to time travel. And
he's like, you know, I could drop it in the middle of the lake and just go to bed. And Pepper brings up an excellent point as, you know, like, if you did, would you be able to rest?
And not only that, she's like, you know, we got lucky. You know, you and me managed to survive the 50% annihilation. A lot of people weren't. And basically, she, you know, and she's
it's a great scene because she's like, you know, whatever you decide, I'll be there.
Because my greatest failing in life was trying to get you not to do something stupid. Which, to be fair...
is Tony Stark.
Is Tony Stark, you know. He fails, but then he has to pick himself back up and forge himself a new body.
So they cut to the... Isn't the next one where it's Cap outside and you just see Tony's car come flying
in because he just hasn't learned to drive like a normal person.
Pulls up and he's like... you know, he just pulls up and he's like, I solved it.
And basically him and Cap finally... bury the hatchet about Civil War.
Yeah, I mean, Tony goes to the trunk and he pulls out his shield and he's like, here.
Yeah, which I loved. I'm like, you're gonna need... He's like, I don't know. And he's like, dude, we need Captain America.
And he's like, I didn't bring one for everyone, by the way.
I did love that. He's like, I didn't bring everyone. And so basically he helps... Him and Banner work together to finally make stable time travel.
All the while this is happening, you know, we get a shot of Hawkeye
in
just
Tokyo
slaughtering everybody.
And so, after it's all said and done, Natasha walks up and basically is like, I have a way of getting your family back. And
he's basically like, you know, don't give me hope.
And so we cut to him as they're ready to do another round of testing with Scott, and Clint's like, I'll do it. Basically, Clint's like, I want to actually see if you can do this.
Yeah.
And so they put Clint in what they call a time travel suit. Basically, it's the Ant-Man suit, but altered with a little bit of flair added to it, and also kind of an Iron Man-like helmet.
And the big old Avengers logo on it.
It's basically what you see in like the toys and the merchandise and what you saw in the trailers.
The hoodies at Hot Topic.
Yeah, to be fair, they kind of make it like that they're gonna wear this, like in the trailers, that they're gonna wear this to fight Thanos.
And they don't. It's in there for like 25 minutes.
Yeah,
combined.
it only comes onto them when they're going to time travel. And so basically Clint time travels and he comes back and he realizes he sees his family and that they can do this. And he's key point is he's holding on to a baseball glove. Yeah, and when he comes back, he still has it, which proves, okay, they can go back in time and they can bring stuff back. And so he's in. Meanwhile, Hulk and Rocket go to, I think it's actually supposed to be Norway. I thought it was Oklahoma or some like, it's actually it's like, the birthplace of Vikings and, Norse.
Oh yeah, this part. You gotta remember, there were 2 parts where I got up to go to the bathroom.
Oh yeah. But you basically just saw, like, I told them what the plan was, and I think that was about the time.
I left at, I think, pretty good points to get up and go to the bathroom and then come back.
And you came back around the time. Basically, Hulk runs into Valkyrie, who is basically in charge of what's left of Asgard, aka New Asgard. Basically, the only thing they have left is Thor's, I guess, house.
Yeah.
What was left of actual Asgard.
And they run into Thor, and Thor has really taken
who's living with Korg and the little bug guy. I'm so happy they didn't get murdered by Thanos.
They're playing Fortnite.
Well, to be fair, Korg and the bug are playing Fortnite. I don't think Thor is. I'm pretty sure he's just sitting around getting drunk.
But yeah, so I mean, Thor. It's basically pretty clear that Thor blames a lot of the Thanos stuff on himself because he didn't just go for the head. If obviously that's the thinking, is that Thor thinking, if I had just gone for the head, I could have prevented all of this. So he's blaming himself. I mean, he's getting drunk, and he's really put on some weight.
Yeah, he I props to them for, like, letting Chris Hemsworth like, just let himself go for that. Like, I was shocked they were gonna do that with him. And to be fair, he gets, I think, svelte by the end of it.
Yeah.
So basically, the only way they convince Thor to come with him is that they have beer, which I'm like, wow. Like, I actually felt really bad for Thor during that, because, like, you could tell that, like, the whole reason he's like that is because of how, I can see the antique truck you're looking at.
Sorry, I was looking at that.
Which I'm surprised you can see out of, because our windows are fogged up. It's crap.
I've seen worse. I've driven with worse windows.
So basically they get him. I forget, they go anywhere else to get anybody? I don't think they do.
No, because Thor was the last one.
Yeah, basically they get back the original cast. And so, them, Rocket, Nebula, and Ant-Man, basically what's left of the original Avengers and what's left of the Guardians.
They basically, they sit down and it's like, okay, this is the plan. This is where the stones are. So basically, this is, they assign teams to each one, and they're like, okay,
and basically
Cap, Iron Man, and Ant-Man, they go back to
if you know your time travel, basically they're going into the past movies of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I think this is a brilliant way to do it.
Oh, I thought they did it wonderfully.
So basically, because I also love it because Natasha's like, if we set our time right, there's 3 stones in New York. Which I love that because it references how, like, everything happens in New York in the Marvel Universe. Basically, if they go to when Joss Whedon's first Avengers film takes place, they can get the Time Stone, the Mind Stone, and the Power... I think the Tesseract's the Power Stone. I want to say it's the Power Stone. And they'll go to Thor the Dark World to get the Mind Stone, I think.
Which Natalie Portman has.
Because she has the stone in her. Technically, it's not the stone at that point. It's technically dark matter. Which is like a plasma.
And I haven't seen that movie in a long time.
And then they had to go to the first Guardians film to get the Space Stone, I think is what it is.
Yeah. And when they go to get the Space Stone, it opens up the major plot of the movie is that even though there's 2 nebulas, they're still interconnected with the mind.
Yeah, because their brains on the same network.
Thanos can still see everything the nebula from the current timeline sees, and that's how he finds out where the stones are.
Yeah.
So he kind of hatches this plan, whereas he gets that nebula to stay. I don't know if that was him or if it was just.
He knocks out the regular nebula, because basically during 2014, Nebula gets injured during a fight with Gamora. And again, I haven't seen the first Avengers film or the first Guardians film, so I have no idea what's changed. Basically, she gets damaged, and that damage causes her to link up with the other Nebula, who's talking to War Machine. And basically Thanos realizes, I win, but they're trying to take my victory away, and so he hatches a plan. Basically, they knock out.
He lets them get all the stones, and then he just shows up and grabs all of them. Yeah. That's his plan, at least, is that let them do all the work, get everything in one spot, and then I'll show up grab everything, and then
I'll make sure that I make sure my victory will not be changed. And so,
which is kind of an ingenious plot, I guess.
Yeah. And so while this is going on, Thor and Rocket have gone to Thor: The Dark World, and he's freaking out because he's emotionally shattered. You know, he should just go up to Natalie Portman, and while he's distracting her, Rocket will use this device to just suck the stone out of her. And it almost fails if not for the fact that Rocket's awesome.
Just come here. Come here.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. He slaps Thor, which is amazing. And basically, before Thor can even, Thor and Rocket get separated, so Rocket has to get the stone.
Thor goes over to talk to his
mother,
mom.
Freya, who, and she basically realizes that this is not the same Thor, because she's...
God, he's really let himself go.
Well, not only that, her family, she was raised by witches, so she knows when weird stuff's going on.
Yeah.
I think also kind of implying that she's met the Ancient One before, and that was trained in the mystic arts.
Yeah.
And while this is going on, Cap, Iron Man, Hulk,
Cap, Iron Man, Hulk, and Ant-Man, they're all in the Avengers movie
trying to get the Time Stone, the Mind Stone, and the Tesseract
all at the same time with no margin of error being allowed.
Yeah.
A little easier said than done.
So basically Hulk goes to the Ancient One, and it's the Ancient One because Hulk, because at this point Strange has not yet lost his hands and has not become the rightful heir to the Sorcerer Supreme. And basically Hulk has to try and convince her to give him the Time Stone. And she's like, no, because we need it to protect the realm. And if Strange
she explains the thing where if I give it to you in this timeline to fix this timeline will not shatters apart.
Yeah, because we don't have the Time Stone.
And so Banner basically convinces her with well, look, what if you give it to me, we fix this timeline, then we come back and it fixes this one.
It's not just that. He tells her that, in Infinity War, Strange gave it up. And that's how the Ancient One realizes Strange would never give it up unless he knew that was the only way to win. So basically she realizes that he needs it because this is the only way to stop Thanos.
Meanwhile, while that's going on, Iron Man, Ant-Man, and Cap, they're all in the building at the end of Avengers.
Yeah.
And
we actually get to see more of what happened in between, them giving Loki up to
they make Hulk take the stairs instead of getting an elevator.
Yeah, Hulk gets so mad he has to take the
Operational
stairs.
weight limit.
Yes. Hulk hate the stairs.
It's so funny.
It was so funny. Especially because you get a scene where Hulk literally takes all the stairs instead of just leaping.
Instead of just leaping. But basically while that's going on, the agents come in to take the Tesseract who are working for Hydra. And so Cap...
Well, no, they actually have they have the staff.
It's the staff, yeah. But they're working for Hydra, which
is awesome. You get to see Crossbones from Winter Soldier with his team and all the...
Yeah, and Stark's... The current Stark is they're working for Hydra, but we didn't know it at that point.
Yeah, and Hulk is dressed... and I love Ant-Man because he's like, they look evil, though. Which I love.
Yeah, he brings up an excellent point, but...
Yeah.
So basically, the current Cap... I'm just going to say current, that way we won't get this messed up.
Current Cap goes in the elevator, which redoes a scene from Winter Soldier where all the
and he's like,
and
he's like, I'm taking the lead on this, and the Hydra agents are like, sorry, we haven't heard any confirmation, and so Cap just leans in and he's like, hail Hydra. Yeah. And just they're all like, okay, we got Cap, all right.
I love it. They're just like,
they just roll with it.
All right. And of course, Cap goes to to make sure that the staff is secured.
And he runs into that
he runs into current Cap. He runs into past Cap.
And so the two of them Cap get into a fight. I don't have time for this.
Which is hilarious because he actually kind of was like, am I really this bootstrap and he's like, I can do this all day, and I love
I know you can.
He's just like, oh my god, we're doing this.
They do that, and they're fighting, and past Cap has current Cap in a headlock, and current Cap just says, Bucky is alive. And it makes past Cap be like what?
And so he just knocks past Cap out, and I do love it because there's a scene where where Tony tells him that suit does not do his butt kind.
And then Ant-Man's like, as far as I'm concerned, that is America's ass.
Yeah, and then Cap's like, that is America's ass. He just leaves with the staff. He uses the Mind Staff to erase his memory.
Yeah.
That's what happens. And so in order to try and get the Tesseract, Tony tells Ant-Man to basically meddle with the arc reactor because at this point he still needs the arc reactor to live. So he just pulls something out to just
makes him basically have a heart attack.
And I love it because like Cap's like, or because Thor's like, past Thor's like, hang on, I'm going to try something. And
I don't know if this is going to work.
And he basically uses Mjolnir as like a defibrillator.
And it works. And he's like, I had no idea that was going to work.
Unfortunately, like, you know, Tony gets
it,
and then Hulk
comes
knocks
out of
him
nowhere.
knocks him across the room.
The Tesseract comes out, Loki gets it,
and he
then
just
disappears.
Which is their way of having Loki be alive because he died in Infinity War. I'm like, there's no way Loki's gonna be dead.
Most people, Loki is dead. Loki fans within the MCU. Is he really though?
Comic book fans though. I'm like,
is he really though?
Is he really? I don't buy it.
It's insert Thor meme here. Is he really though?
I don't buy it. Like, I'm sorry. Like, this is the god of the Norse god of trickery.
Yeah, come on. Out of all people that could be alive, Loki is the one that makes the most sense. But so they screw that up. Okay, so they have the one from the Guardian.
Yeah, they have the time gem.
And they have the staff. Yeah. They have those two, but now they don't have the Tesseract. So,
yeah, and of course they get the Mind Stone from Thor. So they have to get the Mind and the Tesseract.
Well, since the Tesseract is gone with Loki, they don't know how to get it.
And the soul, which we'll get to.
So they don't know how to get the Tesseract back. Well, then the plan comes up because Ant-Man's like, well, you know, we goofed up. We only had one shot at this.
We only had enough for one trip and a round trip. And so Iron Man gets the idea, like, I know.
What if we went to one place where it was in the same exact place?
And we can get more Pym particles.
Yeah.
So they go to the 1970s, which is where we get Stan Lee's final cameo, and it's amazing cameo. They have him looking like he did back in the 70s. I'm talking the hair and the sunglasses, and he's driving this sweet muscle car. I didn't know what the muscle car.
It's an Oldsmobile.
An Oldsmobile
442
with a sticker that's in psychedelic colors that says "Nuff said," and he's like, "Make love, not war." And they just drive past this military installation.
It's perfect.
And I'm sorry, and it was so perfect for his because that, like, you know, he's like, "Oh, I get to have my old hair back. I'm in." Like, I loved it. It was great.
So Cap and Iron Man show up.
And they disguise themselves. Tony as a scientist and Cap as a soldier.
As someone who's done Vietnam War era reenactments, that gear was actually accurate.
Oh, no, that was, yeah.
That was really accurate.
Fair, they know what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always surprised by that because I've seen so many films where people take shortcuts, whether it be budget or they just don't care. This stuff was actually all accurate, which as a history major made me like.
And I take it back. They only need the Tesseract, but like they
need more of the juice as well.
Yeah. And so basically they go and they find the Tesseract because Tony's father Anthony had it stored there, and he's also in the same room as Hank Pym because him and Anthony actually did work together. That's why Hank doesn't work with Tony because they have a huge grudge with each other because Tony's dad's kind of a jerk. Like not like because of like he's like abusive or anything. It's just he's a product of his time, basically, and you know his father was was worse than him, but like you know he tries to not be his father, but you know you can't help who you are, basically. Yeah. And to be fair, like Tony even in this is like I realize I only thought of the bad parts of my father and I didn't remember all the good times, so I just try to remember the good times.
So they're talking while all this is going on. There's a part where Cap's in an elevator with Nick Fury's mom.
And it's clearly Nick Fury's mom because she's an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm like, there's no way that Tony's...
Yeah, and Nick Fury's mom obviously knows something is not on the up and up. But, so Cap gets reported after he grabs all the juice. It has this funny scene prior where to get in there or make him leave, he calls in and is like, a package came for you,
and some of the soldiers are glowing,
and they don't feel good, and it's like they didn't open it. Did you? Yeah, they open it. So that guy rushes out.
Yeah, no. Basically,
Hank rushes out.
Basically, he's like, "Oh my god, I just gave a bunch of people cancer."
Yeah, so he rushes out. Cap goes in, swipes all of it,
and before someone says, "Don't tell me they didn't know what cancer was," because they did studies on that until the 70s. Don't tell me otherwise.
History major, yeah, they knew.
Yeah, they knew. They just didn't tell the public.
They just didn't care.
Well, then they didn't tell the public because they didn't want the public freaking out about radioactivity. Yeah. But anyway.
So anyway, Cap grabs it and he's getting ready to leave, and Nick Fury's mom has reported him. So he
ducks into a building and he sees Peggy.
It's
either that or Peggy's daughter. I'm not entirely sure because they changed her name, and it could be that because she is a spy, so it could be she was undercover or she just or maybe she took that's her maiden.
He sees her, she doesn't see him, and he kind of has this moment where he's like he
kind of he's like a thought like, oh yeah, I could time travel, but he doesn't completely see it through because he's Cap, and they still have a job to do. And while this is going on,
which is Cap.
Yeah, while this is going on, Tony runs into his dad and almost botches, but like basically Anthony's leaving because his wife is having a baby. Basically, she's getting very close to giving birth to Tony. And so basically, Tony and him have a talk, back and forth talk, and I really do love this because this Tony is a father, and basically he's trying to give tips to his own dad, and basically saying, like, as long as you just try, it's gonna turn out okay. And I really do love that because deep down, Tony does love his dad, and while his dad may have made mistakes with him, his father was a good man. It's just he was flawed, and some people can't get over.
People are flawed.
Yeah, and sometimes I think children can't.
You don't realize that until later
on, that your parents were flawed, but they tried their best to, and for good or for bad. And I'm not saying all parents, but just in general.
Yeah.
And so they get their particles and the cube, and they're gone. And so basically, that just leaves the Soul Stone. And we get to Clint and Natasha running into the Red Skull, which that was already established in Infinity War, because that basically the Red Skull is the guardian of the Soul Stone. And I think I'd explain this to you, but basically,
it's the whole thing from First Avenger where the Tesseract sucks him in, and everybody thinks he's dead, but he's actually there, and he's the guardian now.
I never thought he was, like, because when he gets teleported away, like, there's this like blob of like space that you see behind him for a brief moment. I'm like, nah, he got sent somewhere.
But so anyway, it's revealed that in order to get this stone,
well, it was revealed in the first movie, but
but in order to get this stone, it's a soul for a soul.
And so Natasha and Clint try to, and at first it's kind of cute where they try to argue over who should go.
Yeah, like, they kind of fight, and finally...
Yeah, Clint basically, because he's like, I can't see my family again after all the stuff I've done.
Yeah. And Natasha is just like, well, at least you have a family,
Mine's gone. This is the only way to get my family back. And if I have to die to do so, I will. And so basically the two of them tumble down the cliff. Hawkeye is able to shoot an arrow so that they get stuck to the wall, but he can't hold on to Natasha. And Natasha mouths to him because, again, he's deaf. It's okay. I'm willing to do this. Because it's not just my family I want to get back. I want to get back everybody's.
And this was the death that I think kind of
threw
some people off.
Honestly, I didn't
I actually had both deaths in this film spoiled for me, sadly, but
yeah,
even then, when I read that, I was like, really, Natasha dies? Because they've already announced the Black Widow movie, and I was just like,
it's a prequel, but like
I think most people going into it knowing that, they were like, okay, it's gonna be Hawkeye that gets killed.
Especially because like when they set it up like that, like he's done all this horrible stuff.
Yeah,
and she dies, and then we get the scene where like he wakes up in this water, and he has the Soul Stone, and he just bursts into tears. And to be fair, I get why. That's the closest thing he's had to a friend.
Yeah, so at that point they have all the stones, and they all come back,
and everyone's all happy.
And then they look over and they're like, "Where's Natasha?"
One of us had to stay, or one of us had to die for this.
Yeah.
And Hulk, like both him and Hulk, are just shattered, and they try to say like, well, we could use the gauntlet to bring her back.
Yeah, and Hawkeye just kind of goes, he's like, "No, that's not how it works." Hulk throws this bench clear through through this lake.
And bless Cap, because he's the one who has to be like, then we need to make sure that it wasn't for nothing. And so basically Tony creates another Infinity Gauntlet. Using,
and then they argue over who's going to use it. Thor is like, let me use it. I'm electricity.
And Thor,
I can handle it.
Poor Thor like bursts into tears.
He's like, let me do something.
Yeah. Like, this is I'm just trying to like
he's trying to make up for his own failing.
Because to be fair, in Infinity War, he didn't go for the head because he wanted to watch
Thanos suffer.
And to be fair, he had Stormbringer. Like, who would have thought he could have survived just getting that to the chest?
Yeah,
because that's a god killer. What that is.
So that's going on, and then who else offers it? This Cap? It's
Cap.
Not Cap does.
I know Cap does, and basically Hulk is like, it's got to be me.
Because it's Gamma.
It's mostly Gamma, and so I should be able to...
Which is just weird, and even in the movie we were debating that, and I'm just like,
I
whatever.
feel like it wouldn't be just Gamma. I feel like it'd be radiations of everything. Like, to be fair, he does say mostly Gamma.
We missed an important part. Okay, so the nebula that comes back is not the right nebula. It's past Nebula, and her entire plan is... Get in the Avengers compound and click the trigger on so Thanos' ship will come out.
Yeah, because they put Pym particles in the ship to shrink it.
Yeah. And so basically that's the Thanos' plan is, get the ship to that timeline. hit the place with everything he's got, take the gauntlet, and then do the snap again.
And basically this happens all while Hulk gets the snap off, which I didn't think he was going to, because like you can see the radiation of all the stones just like charring his arm.
Yeah, and he finally manages to do it.
And like they even put the blast doors up in the Avenger in like Tony's lab.
They were prepared for it.
And I mean, I think it blows Ant-Man out of the room. And what I love is,
and when he gets up, you can hear birds,
because I didn't notice it until that point. Like you barely hear any ambient sound because there's only half the animals left, and then all of a sudden you start hearing ambient noise.
So there's all that scene, and then
fun fact is actually if you've ever watched the 70s version of Pod People, or I forget what it's called, the Invasion of the Body Snatchers. What happens is as the body snatching happens, you actually can hear like the ambient noise slowly drift away as the Pod People replace everything until eventually there's no ambient sound.
Yeah.
So that was actually a really good filmmaking thing where like you actually hear the ambient sound again.
Yeah. So while that's going on, Ant-Man's looking at all the birds.
Yeah, he's like, we did it, guys.
Clint gets a call from his wife. And all the while this is happening, Thanos' ship
comes... Hulk is just, his arm is just char-broiled.
Yeah, and while that's happening, Thanos' ship comes up,
lights
and he lights it up
compound.
like a nuke.
And at first I thought everyone was dead.
Yeah, so did I. I was like, come on.
Thankfully, Ant-Man shrunk himself at just the right moment.
Hulk, Rocket, and War Machine, they're in the basement. Hawkeye gets blown in there too.
War Machine loses his leg arm, like the artificial leg things that allow him to walk. Poor Rocket gets trapped under, and he even like screams like, I can't breathe. And I'm like, I actually
Hulk's
felt really
sitting there
sad,
just holding everything up,
which is a reference to Secret Wars where he has to hold a whole mountain up. Yeah, with one good arm. Hawkeye gets sent into like a really lower level of the base.
But he has the gauntlet.
Yeah, he picks it up.
He picks it up after he's getting chased by...
And Thanos is like, go get the gauntlet.
Yeah,
and he sends like these weird demon hounds.
And he tells Nebula, like, bring me the gauntlet. So he just kind of sits down and is like, I'm just going to sit here and wait.
Yeah, which is so smug of Thanos.
Yeah. He's so full of himself in his plan that he does that. But so Clint manages to escape these hounds, and he's laying there, and Nebula comes in. And the past Nebula has taken a plate off the current Nebula, so you can't tell the difference.
Meanwhile, past Nebula actually convinces Gamora that she should switch sides.
Yeah.
Because she's like, I know you, Gamora. You do not approve of this plan.
Yeah. And so Clint's laying there, and he's like, oh, hey. And then, the past Nebula's like, I have the gauntlet, Thanos, and Hawkeye's just like, wait, what?
Oh, I gotta run.
He's like, wait, what?
And so he's getting chased by these hounds, and he has to use his bomb arrows to create, like, mines to try and keep them back. And so we get Cap, Thor, and Iron Man, and they wake up from the compound blowing up, and they see that he's just sitting there.
Yeah, and Thor is the one who sees him first. He's just kind of standing there, and he's like...
it's a trap. And he's like, yeah, but that's fine. We can take it to him. And Thor's like, let's make sure he's dead this time. Yeah,
so Thor, a key moment when Thor was in the Thor Dark World timeline was he got the hammer back.
Oh yeah, he got Mjolnir back, and he was still worthy of Mjolnir, which he loves. So he has Mjolnir and Stormbreaker.
And he's just like, all right,
let's do this.
So they
Cap suits or Iron Man suits up. Cap tightens the straps
shield
on his shield, and they're ready to go kick some ass.
So they go down there, and that starts this fight, and
it's amazing.
It's an amazing fight scene. Amazing
Thor charges
choreography.
lightning through Iron Man's armor to create like a powerful wave, and basically
it goes about as well as you think. It's kind of close to what I thought Infinity War was like.
Yeah,
but Thanos gets the upper hand.
Yeah, and
I forget, how doesn't he knock Tony out first?
Yeah, he knocks Tony out first, and so Cap and Thor like just struggling, and then he knocks he has Thor on the ground. He's gonna try and like basically rip his head off with Stormbreaker.
And all of a sudden, you see a
Mjolnir, and so Cap reaches for Mjolnir, and Mjolnir comes to him because Cap is just as worthy as Thor.
Which
also is great because Thor knew that from Age of Ultron because he was able to wiggle Mjolnir a bit. And he's just like. And with this big smile on his face, Thor's just like, I knew it. And then he just gets slammed away.
So Cap starts
wailing on him with both his shield and Mjolnir.
Like
he does some awesome
he's
stuff
throwing the shield up and then slamming it.
And then he summons Mjolnir to bring the shield back. It's such a good fight.
The choreography was amazing for it.
And eventually it gets just the Cap's the only one left. And so Thanos
and I forget what does Thanos get? Is it Stormbreaker or
no, he just grabs his blade and starts chopping up Cap's shield.
So there's like barely anything left. You know, Cap's laying on the ground, beaten and bloody.
But and Cap, he's just like, I gotta get up.
So he gets up, and even though his arm is like all dead, he just tightens it even further.
He's just like, I'm not letting you win. I don't care if I die.
And it has this awesome shot of, meanwhile while this is going on, Ant-Man is rescuing War Machine, Rocket, and Hulk. And, the past Nebula and Gamora show up.
And they just shoot past Nebula dead.
So, they have the gauntlet again.
Yeah.
So Thanos doesn't have the gauntlet.
And then as Cap is about, prepared for his last stand,
and it's got this big scene, like a big wide shot of just Cap versus Thanos and this army behind him.
And then just all of a sudden, something appears on his communicator. I forget who it is. I think it's
Sam.
It's Sam. He's like, Cap, where you at? We're ready when you are. And all of a sudden, all of these portals open because it's not just Doctor Strange, but all of the wizards of that were
plus everybody that got snapped in Infinity War. Everybody is here,
including Black Panther's whole army. And
so it's a fair fight, at least.
Yeah, and so everyone's there, and we finally get what we've been waiting for a decade to hear Cap go, Avengers, assemble.
And it just unleashes...
awesome!
Honestly, the ending battle
is so great.
It's probably the best part of the whole movie, in my opinion.
At least 25 minutes long. I want to say
it's the entire... I can actually go home. I
want to say it's like
I have a cam.
25 minutes long.
I'm not gonna lie. I have a cam version of the film on my computer right now. I can actually go home and find the timestamps and tell you how long it is, but
it's amazing. We're not going to go into every single scene because it's a great fight.
You know the ones I'm going to bring up. But
like my favorite ones are like when Spidey runs to Tony and talks to him. Like I was going
for like 5 minutes and
he just grabs Peter and
Tony has had all this guilt about it, and now Peter's back and he just hugs him.
Oh, Pepper's showing up in the rescue armor. This amazing scene where all the ladies of the Marvel Universe work together to get the gauntlet away from Thanos.
Yeah. So basically what happens in that is because to get to that scene we have to explain one of my favorite
basically
parts.
They're fighting. We get all these awesome scenes.
They're actually winning,
including this awesome scene where Scarlet Witch comes across Thanos and she's like, "You took everything from me.
I don't even know who you are. You will,
and she just uses all of her power to just crush Thanos and debris, and it's amazing.
So all the while this is happening, and I even mentioned it to you while we're watching this, and the Avengers are winning this at this point. It's pretty close, but they're winning.
So Thanos...
And we're sitting there I'm sitting there where is Carol during all this?
So Thanos is like, all right, then I'm just going to blow everything up again.
Yeah, so he gets his ship
and he starts shooting things, and it looks like everything, Strange has to hold back like a thing of water.
Otherwise, it would just drown everybody. And then all of a sudden, you have this awesome shot of all Thanos' guns going up towards the sky.
And he's like, what are they shooting at?
And then Carol just comes out of nowhere.
And just shoots through the ship. And
blows it up.
To Kingdom Come.
And Thanos is just sitting there like what the hell?
Yeah, no.
And so Carol's just like, yeah, I'm here.
And then, she helps Peter because they have to get the gauntlet away. Oh, and Valkyrie's there. Oh, it's so good. Yeah. And
there's this amusing scene where Peter, he was holding onto the gauntlet,
and he's all beat up and bloody, and he's just holding it like, I'm not going to let anyone take this.
And so Carol shows up, and she's like, hey.
Well, no, he's like, hey, glowy lady, I'm Peter Parker.
Hey, Peter Parker. You got something for me?
She's like flirting with him, and I'm like,
which is a reference to those who don't know. Carol and Peter kind of had a thing in the comics. It kind of went nowhere.
I'm like, dude, he's like 15.
She's obviously like mid-20s at least. No. But that leads into this thing where Ant-Man's like, okay, I forget what was the whole point with the van thing. They were going to do something.
They were going to use the van to power
the gauntlet.
Power the gauntlet up, I think, to
So Ant-Man and Wasp are in the van trying to get it going, and the van's dead, so Ant-Man's like, I got a hot wire in it.
Yeah, well, I think it's they could use the quantum power to basically, I think destroy the gauntlet or make sure the gauntlet doesn't get into... I forget exactly, but...
That was somewhere the plan. So basically, they have to get the gauntlet to the van, though, and that leads into where Carol and
Thanos get to their we finally get to see the thing that I think everyone's been waiting for: Thanos versus Captain Marvel.
Giant grape get destroyed real time.
And it's amazing because, like, he tries to headbutt Carol, and she just like,
doesn't even faze by it. She just looks at him like, "Are you serious?"
And then she just wails on him, and it's great. And then we get to the part that really annoyed me. And
it annoyed me as well because I'm not wholly like a big comic book expert. I don't claim to be, but I'm getting there.
Yeah, because he has the gauntlet. And basically, they're just trying to make sure he doesn't do the snap, because this time Thanos is going to
erase everything and then rebuild everything.
And so
Carol's trying to rip it away from him, you know, and it's actually a pretty even-sided fight. And what he does this weird, pardon my French here, he does this weird bullshit where he takes one of the stones out, uses it in his other one, and just punches her.
Which I'm like, that doesn't make any sense.
That's not how that works.
You already have all the gems right here. Why don't you just use the power gem to make yourself stronger?
And that's basically...
You literally have all of reality at your hand. You don't need to take one off.
And it leads directly into this, which let me get back to my point just so I get this out. But so basically, Thanos has the gauntlet. Carol is like just knocked out momentarily.
I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, which I'm just like, she's supposed to be like the most powerful fucking thing in the universe.
Yeah, no, like, she has the power cosmic flowing through her veins.
Yeah, but basically what happens is, Thanos has the gauntlet.
Yeah.
He puts it on, and Tony starts like fighting with him, trying to get him away from him.
Yeah, and he looks at Strange, and Strange does this.
Which is a reference to earlier when Strange showed up, Tony looked at him, he's like, do we win in this one? And Strange is like, if I tell you, it won't happen.
It won't happen.
But so, Tony looks at Strange, and Strange just does.
And so Tony realizes what he has to do. Thanos knocks him away, and so
he goes to snap, and nothing happens.
It's because the gems are gone.
He looks over, and Tony has all of them.
Using the Iron Man armor, pulled the stones away to put into his own gauntlet.
And so Thanos had this whole thing throughout the movie, past Thanos, where he was like, I am inevitable.
Yeah.
And so Tony, when he has all these stones, he's looking at Thanos, and he's like, and I am Iron Man.
And he does the snap, and erases Thanos and all of his men from existence.
Yeah, and Thanos is the last. Yeah, good. We both said that. Good riddance. We were sitting there cheering. His Cap was just wailing on him, like, "Come on, hit him harder!"
Yeah, no, we were like, "Come on,
he deserves it."
He got me old here. Oh, he brings down the thunder too. He brings down the thunder on him, and I'm like, "Yeah!"
It was so awesome. But basically, Thanos is the last one.
And I do love it because he sits down like he does at the end of Infinity War.
Yeah,
and he just
fades to dust.
Yeah, he just kind of accepts it. Like, it's
But meanwhile, using all that power, it's basically killed Tony. So he's laying there dying, and Peter is the first one to come up.
Yeah, and he's like, you can't die, Mr. Stark.
It's basically a role reversal of the scene from Infinity War where Peter died in Tony's arms. Yeah. It's a reversal of that. So that happens, and I forget who pulls Peter away. Is it War Machine?
No, Peter just he's like, I don't feel so good, and he starts. Oh no, yeah, it is War Machine who pulls him away.
And so then Pepper shows up in the rescue armor.
Yeah, and she just tells him, it's okay, Tony, you can rest now. Like, she's not grieving at that moment. She's being strong for him.
Yeah, and then you see
the chest react.
Just shuts off.
And I think she also talks to Friday, his AI, that's like, his vitals are just falling. And then
vitals failing critically or something.
Yeah, and then and kind of a reference to when Thanos sees little Gamora when he gets the soul gem, like,
what did it cost? Everything.
And so we get like the scene of everyone celebrating, everyone back, and like kind of seeing how everything's kind of going back to normal.
You have this narration from Tony over top of it, and what it's revealed to be Tony recorded a message.
A message in case the